Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. Chris and I are back as we discuss Leprechaun 4 in Space, directed by Brian Trenchard Smith. Our deadly leprechaun is in space to woo a beautiful princess, who is impressed with his gold and desires to separate him from it. The movie was made on a budget of 1.6 million, and I believe it went straight home to rental. Apologies, folks, I had a couple of technical difficulties there.
Yeah, that on my end too. So sorry about that. But yeah, what were your overall thoughts on this one? I thought that coming off the third one, which I enjoyed so much, this was a bit of a letdown.
You Philistine. I have no words. I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
I mean, it was funny. It had its moments, but like just some of the I don't know, the funny parts that went into the third one I thought were kind of missing here. I'll give you a quick example. So in the third one,
1 second just till I do some jiggery and pokery, because I know there's people waiting in the chat.
Yeah, sure.
So I want to just make sure everyone over, because that one's still live, because we're just like, it's not working.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Is it? Is this the right one? Oh. If that doesn't appear on this screen, then right, there we go. Right, sorry, you know how it is, doing things off the cuff. trying to when things like decide not to play ball, you're like, it's fixed, come over, come watch us.
People come here for a professional streamlined
absolutely just streamlined, never an issue.
Never. Everything is very smooth.
Right, but so there's a lot of hate for this movie.
I didn't hate it. It did make me laugh a lot.
I'll just put it out there. There's a lot of hate. Like, people absolutely disgusted that this movie exists. So I feel a wee bit defensive, because really the whole series has been self-aware as to what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
And I don't get why people... You're not coming here for a serious horror, let's be honest. You're not coming to a series for... You're coming here for the gags, the jokes, the one-liners, the ditties, the lyrics, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But people were proper annoyed with this movie. I'm just like, really?
Yeah. No, I'm not in that camp. I definitely still found it fun, but I did think the level of quality and care that went into it diminished slightly from the third one, which was also silly, but to me very effective. So I'll give you an example. So
the CGI
with some of the death, the CGI ship for sure. But I can look past that. I wasn't expecting like a good science fiction movie.
Babylon 5 bad, wasn't
it? Yeah. No. But I'll give you an example with like let's say the deaths. In the third one, there was a hilarious kill that the leprechaun has, where the girl in Vegas has the wish that she has a big, that she's beautiful and has a nice butt and everything like that.
Explodes.
And then the butt, the butt becomes giant and explodes. In this one, you have the character, I'm blanking on her name, but she's hanging off the ledge.
Oh, Dolores?
Dolores, and she just falls and dies. So right away, there's like, one is like kind of boring, and the other one is like, silly fun.
There's never a good hanging off anything scene.
Yeah.
In movies. Once you do the hanging off cliff, stairs, banister, window, whatever, it's never good.
Yeah.
That was a done once in movie history, never to be repeated. It's a horrible trope.
Right. Yeah.
It's just, I'm full agreement. I think I've mentioned it as well in the notes. It's like, don't do that. Plus, it's ridiculous. You try hanging off anything with 2 arms for any length of time, and then try and do that. Take one arm off, see how long you last. You're not doing that. You know what I mean? That's the
Oh,
only
the
people
one.
that do that are
Yeah.
mad. If you ever see that mad French free climber, no, he can't anymore. He went splat because he's silly. The one who used to climb up beside the buildings and stuff. He used to do
Okay.
training where he used his fingertips, but that's all right for get yourself up there. But you're not sitting hanging on to that. It's not
Yeah.
even remotely possible. So those scenes never work. They're silly.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll give you another example. The difference between the third one and the fourth one for me. The third one had a lot of hilarious limericks and rhymes with the leprechaun. And in this one, I'm like waiting for it. He has like the setup, and it's like a word that's very easy to rhyme with, like me. And then like he finishes it without rhyming.
It was almost like straight dialogue, wasn't it, in this one?
Yeah. Yeah. So some of the fun from the third one didn't seem to translate to this one, in my opinion.
Do you think that's, we're fourth film into a series now. It's not linear. It's, do you think that's just, it's always going to be the case with that anyway? It's peak comedy.
Yeah, I do expect the quality to diminish over as the sequels go on, but it takes very little effort to make a rhyme.
We've seen an upward trajectory. Do you know what I mean? From 1 to 3, and I think 3, because they even said it themselves. It was lightning in a bottle. Everything just came together for it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? The vibes,
sure.
the crew, the cast, the director, even the extras. People in the street. Everyone was involved with that movie. You can't manufacture that. I think we talked about that in the last one.
Yeah.
So anything after that is always going to fall short.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
I can get that. I just don't understand. Like I said, I'm not saying universally hated. I mean, there's a really, really strong camp of, how dare this movie exist? Blah! Going to space ruins everything. Blah!
No, I got a kick out of it. I definitely laughed a bunch of times as we go through the review. I'm sure we'll point out. So it definitely kept the fun element. I think I would have liked to have seen more of the Leprechaun, to be honest. I think they spent a lot of time with the crew and not enough with him.
There's a big cast, wasn't there?
It was a big cast, yeah.
It almost evolved into like standard slasher, didn't it?
It did. That's what I'm saying. Like, I felt like it lacked some of the fun that I was expecting in a Leprechaun in space movie.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, they had some hilarious scenes. Like the boner scene is I'll never forget that. But I just felt like it needed a little bit more, maybe just a fun element added to it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they were trying to take it different. I think what they're trying not to do is rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Michael, you found us. Sorry, we're having.
Sorry about that, Michael.
Stuff in the background. I mean, we were like getting the hammer and nails going, fix it. The air, don't know what happened, but Leprechaun and Jason went to space. Yep. And
I mean,
Pinhead has been to space as well. That's the holy old trinity of horror movies in space.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, where else are you going to go? I was hoping Tremors made it to space, and it never happened. But I guess it's an easy trope. I mean, if you try to project it in the future is always in space.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun premise. I don't know if they got enough out of it.
It was a 1.6 million budget. Probably most of that went to Warwick Davis. I'm glad they didn't spend too much on the CGI. I was happy with the spaceship looking awful, because then I meant to spend the rest of the budget in the practical effects, which were fun.
Yeah, for sure. 1.6 million is very, very little for a movie. Like, even just to pay the cast and the crew and everything like that, it's amazing they got as much in as they did.
It's a full production, but it's always going to be limited. Like, they've rented out a warehouse or a factory or something.
Yeah.
A bit of spray paint on it, the odd places. It's not Strangest spaceship I've ever seen.
No, no. I was fine with that part. I mean, I knew going in not to.
No, but I meant internally.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Looking up and down gangplanks and walkways and stuff, and you're like, huh?
It's not very well designed, this ship.
No.
Yeah.
Which is that's what we'll talk about because oh boy, there's I think that's the thing. I just took it what it was, and I know what they try to do each time is like give us something fresh every movie.
Yeah.
Keep it so. Yeah, I get that aspect of it. Yeah, the cast is a bit grating at first, but you kind of, I think on your 7th or 8th rewatch, you kind of grow fond of them.
Yeah.
Oops,
so I read.
Maybe
I read.
Yeah. I might have said too much there.
I
might
read
really like this movie.
I read that the character of Books was originally going to be. He was hired because he looked like Sylvester Stallone, and originally he was going to have a Rocky accent for the entire movie. And then they scrapped that at the last minute because they thought that would be too silly, and they were kind of worried about maybe a lawsuit or something like that. But I actually think that would have been pretty funny.
You know, they're playing with right. There's a combination of Aliens and The Fly here. I'm guessing this is Trenchard's favorite movies, or really inspired from them. He's really brought that on board, and you get it. Like rip-off scene of the Colonial Marines getting ready, just it's cheap looking.
Right.
It's a locker room. Do you know what I mean? It's a flipping locker room in the some workplace, and they put a lot of plastic stuff in it. And I don't know. I just, like I said, I think I was the same in the first watch of oh god, what's this? But like I said, over the years, that's probably the difference. Is over the years I've watched this many times, and it's grown on me. It's a grower. It really is. You watch this, give it a while, watch it a second time, and all of a sudden you're like, actually, there's a strange charm about the movie.
Yeah, I can see that. There's definitely some elements that were funny. Yeah, Michael's right. I think the makeup probably a lot of the budget went into that. The makeup in this is actually the best of the four. Like the look of the leprechaun.
Oh, absolutely.
was amazing. Very, very well done.
Here's one that's gotta be absolutely like for Warwick Davis to pull off is when he's in leprechaun makeup, who's then in a hazmat suit. Like you think about it, you got all that prosthetics, and then you got a hazmat suit on top of it. God, he must have been boiling.
Yeah.
Like I imagine it was just there, it wasn't the full leprechaun outfit, but still, bloody hell, like you got all that in your head. You try wearing a mask with a hood and then put another hood on top of you.
Yeah.
And so some scenes like that is you just gotta think behind and go, bloody hell, fair play.
Yeah.
Put yourself through that.
What he puts up with in these movies, yeah. Unbelievable.
I think he enjoys it though. There's that sense of it's not just doing a role for the sake of it. I think he's committed to this role and decided he was going to own it, after the first one.
Yeah. I just wanted to see more of him. I felt like there just wasn't enough of him in this one.
Well, we'll start off with a bit of different premise, of course. Suppose we'll go back to the start and actually dive into the movie. So we've got this on a planet or a planetoid or something where there's a mining company. Have this princess who's chained up. And Leprechaun appears, except this time he's top hat and tails. And he's wooing. It turns out this is a princess, a Darillian princess, and she's been captured. But at the same time, he's like trying to talk her over to his side of thinking. So she's next in line on the throne. Leprechaun has all the gold, but he's no power. He wants respect. He's been kicking about for millennia at this point, thousands of years, and nothing's changed. And he's sick and tired of just being a little roguish rat. He actually wants power. So he's trying to cement a political marriage with this princess, but he needs it to be willing, not kidnapping her, if that makes sense.
Right.
So that's a completely different take. And then we've got the princess character to deal with. So straight away, we've two main characters, and we're starting off from a different standpoint than somebody finds a pot of gold, somebody nicks the gold. You know,
Yeah.
We're going from a different direction from the usual, what we expect.
Yeah. I think this kind of goes along with my theory, though, that every Leprechaun movie is a different Leprechaun because his motivations are different in this one. His powers are different. Now, all of a sudden, he could, take over your mind and change your mind and things like that. Obviously, it's in space. It's in a different, part of the galaxy. So it kind of goes with my theory that, this is a different Leprechaun, and it was a different spin on it, which I'm fine with, because it did, after a while, his motivations of just wanting the pot of gold gets tired. So the fact that he does want power, he wants more now in this one, I thought it was a fun setup. I did think that was worthwhile. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Like, what can you do 4 movies in?
Yeah.
Do you rinse and repeat, or do you try something different? Sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. But the fact that they're still trying, and the fact that these movies still get made at the time, is testament to them. But yeah, I think we hit the nail on the head, though. Too many characters. I think having the big ensemble cast, and then so we've got the Leprechaun and the princess plot. Then we'll have the Marine Squad, who aren't actually there to rescue the princess. So we've got a side plot because the Leprechaun apparently has been causing chaos.
Right, yeah.
And disrupting mining operations or doing something. We think it's him they're after. But once again, we're not too sure. So there's almost like another plot happening as well.
Yeah.
Like, they could have been looking for somebody else. They never actually say who they're looking for.
No, I think they say in the beginning it was a search and destroy mission.
Yeah,
and they were trying to take out. Yeah.
They didn't say who or what they were searching and destroying for.
They just knew that someone had disrupted their mining operation to the tune of 500. Or they said $500 million, which probably not that much 100 years in the future. If inflation is,
it carries on the same trajectory,
yeah. That's like $38 by then. But no, yeah. So they have to destroy whoever is disrupting the mining operation, and I kind of took it to mean that, the Leprechaun was stealing gold basically from these mining companies. That was the only thing that made sense to me. Like, why would he care about mining operations unless he was stealing it for gold?
Yeah. But then it doesn't make sense because when he shows Princess Serena the jewels, they're fully formed jewels, etc., collected over eons, so it doesn't tie in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This could have been completely accidental, and they didn't really explain it. So
yeah,
the problem is there's a lot of plot going on, like different plot threads.
Right.
And it doesn't all involve the Leprechaun, funny enough. It's almost like this group were searching and they accidentally found the Leprechaun, and just because he was there, Jarheads decided, get some, and just took it out. We saw it with Lucky when he meets that squirrel thing or whatever, just instantly has at it.
Yeah.
The Lepreverse.
The Lepreverse.
So yeah, there's that going on, and then obviously they come into the chamber where which, if that was a mining operation that he was disrupting, that's too casual, isn't it? He had no intent. He wasn't in a rush or anything.
Oh, you talking about his cave?
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely. I imagine that was he just built that up over the years, and because every part of it, all the walls are made of gold and stuff like that. But yeah, he didn't exactly hide it very well. It was very easy for the Marines to find it.
But there was no correlation between him and the mining operation, so it's almost like the Marines have stumbled in it, and then when they don't know who the princess is, etc., it kind of falls into that. But this could have just been a random chance encounter, and the person or whatever they're looking for is still causing the problems of the mining operations. Could have been another leprechaun. Could have been something else. Somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's
It
true.
wasn't an
I
actual
hadn't thought-
rescue mission, which I don't know why they didn't go that direction.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they seem surprised to find out that she was from Dominia later
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
I mean, it was funny. It was almost like
Set up.
these are knuckleheads. You know what I mean? They're a private rented security guard firm, basically. You know, it's soldiers for hire, mercenaries.
Yeah.
And right, search and destroy whatever's in there. Search and destroy. You know what I mean? The companies have given permission because blah blah blah. So whatever they find, and it could just happen that this kidnapping stroke courtship just happened to be happening at the same time and location. But we don't get a
That's
payoff to say that this all could have been avoided. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. They could have done a much better job with the setup. It definitely was a little convoluted. Yeah, it definitely was all over the place a bit.
Mm-hmm. So that's basically what happens. They get into a shootout. Lucky, you know, it's the first one in and finds all the gold and immediately like doesn't secure the area or anything. Just straight in, helmet off, because yeah. Mission doesn't matter about the mission, just yeah. There's going to be nothing dangerous here. Somebody's just going to leave all their treasure out and not guard it.
Yeah, that was funny. I also liked, what was that creature that he shot? Was it supposed to be like the guard dog of the leprechaun?
No, I think it was just like I said,
Just a random alien.
Just a random alien in the area.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. The more I think about it, the more I believe that it was just a random encounter. It wasn't the leprechaun they were looking for.
right.
They were just after whatever it was, and they're just going planetoid to planetoid hunting, and it just happened to be where leprechaun was trying to seal this marriage.
Yeah.
I love the way Princess Zarina as well during the conversation. Oh, I've got money. Oh, I hate you. You're ugly. Ah, I've got money. Ah, that's all fine then.
Well, she's very similar to the leprechaun. And, you know, Colin, I didn't want to do it this early, but I feel like it's important for the rest of the review that we get to the bottom of how similar she is and what the leprechaun's motivation is. Because, buddy old mine, it got me thinking.
Did you get thinking again?
I got thinking early.
Oh, flip's sake. So we're going up. We're going here, are we?
Let's do it.
Fine.
In space.
Let's do it. Theories in space.
It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's a theory. Chris. Chris's crazy theory.
In space.
So to
not even 5 minutes into the movie, thought
I know. Because there's so many things that I want to say in the review that are predicated on this information that has been thoroughly vetted through my detailed review. So to start off, we have, of course, the lovely princess Zarina, and we find her in this predicament in the leprechaun's cave. Whoa. And then he's sitting at the table with her, and he tells her, "You'll have the richest kingdom in the universe." And you're right; she turns very quickly.
Yeah,
for
just
being
like
horribly disgusted.
Oh, I hate you. I've got money. Oh, that's all fine then.
Yeah, that's all it takes. But that was very greedy of her, very similar to the leprechaun, and that's what started me down this rabbit hole. So first of all, the leprechaun knows an awful lot about the political machinations on the planet of Dominia, doesn't he? He's talking about the dad. He's saying the father, the king, was being a fool. He gave everything he had to his loyal subjects, and he hasn't a penny to his name. What's a leprechaun doing with all this information about one planet in an entire universe now in the future? He seems to be following this political situation very closely, and he's accurate.
I suppose every couple of thousand years you need a hobby, don't you, or else you get bored. Like having a pot with 100 coins in it gets a bit boring and stale after a while. You need something else. And he mentions it though. He's like, I'm sick of being treated, blah, blah, blah. I want actual power. I want to be not a hidden creature. I want to be there. I want to be ruling, you know.
Absolutely.
We all have life dreams.
We all have life dreams. But why this particular planet if there's, countless planets out there?
It's an empire.
Let's look. It is.
It wasn't just a planet. It's an empire. It's a full-on empire.
Right. But why in particular? Let's look a little bit further. So he says, it left her family with nothing because the king gave away all of his riches. And then later on, they find this necklace on her, and it's from the planet Dominia, as we learned. And it will mean better relations with the Dominions. So like you said, this is definitely an important race, an important planet. Definitely very, very impactful to the humans and probably to the rest of the galaxy. So I started to look at her, what she was wearing, everything that was on her as to clues about the planet Dominia. Because why is it so important to the leprechaun? And you notice all of her coloring is gold. Everything that she wears has elements of gold to it, from on top of her forehead to flakes everywhere. Even the clothes that she wears, even the color of her hair, everything is very indicative of the color gold. And I looked very closely at her feet for research purposes only. and on her feet there are gold flakes. There are gold flakes. She literally has gold on her skin everywhere. And then he tells her there's plenty more where that came from. And again, this is just to show more of the examples of all the gold on her forehead and all over her body. So I started to think about it, and I had to be very careful with the editing of this, Steve.
We won't talk about
that. But if her family gave everything away, why is she covered in gold all over herself? Unless that has something to do with the planet itself. It's everywhere, which would make sense as to why he's coveting this planet so closely if gold was so prevalent that it's literally all over her skin and body, and her family gave everything away. So other examples as to why I think it was very interesting how similar she was to the leprechaun. Just the way she was talking. I'm queen, Zarina, queen of the damned. She's threatening them. She wants power. Here's another example. He says gold is power, which he said before in other movies. And she mimics it, power. These two are very, very similar. And I wanted to know how similar they were. So let's look further. Later on, she starts to regenerate her tissue. Her hand literally starts to grow back.
That was great.
That was great.
That was actually some cracking special effects. Yes, I know it was something coming out with it, but the way they did it was brilliant.
Yes, I agree. And Dr. Mittenhand tells us her tissues have regenerated. So where else have we seen this ability in the Leprechaun universe? The ability to regenerate. The Leprechaun himself has this very power. In fact, he demonstrates it in that safety video where he cuts his finger off and the finger grows back. But we've seen it countless times. He has the ability to regenerate. So does Zarina. All right. Other similarities. She tells him, why are we wasting time here? Someone could be collecting your gold. She knows the importance to him. She's manipulative, just like he is. They are very, very similar. Two peas in a pod, as my grandfather would say if he was here. Look at these two. First of all, adorable. Look at these two. What an adorable couple they make.
It's
you gonna say
like,
something? Okay.
It's almost like a buddy cop movie or something, or like they're just, Joker and Harley Quinn or something. No, it's just two villainous couple. But because they're so like, that's why it's doomed to they'd only ever shaft each other.
It's true, but the more and more I watch it, the more similar these two I realized that they were. And this was an important scene. This really brought it all home to me. So while he's staring at her creepily, did you happen to notice anything besides the obvious gorgeous?
It just brought back memories.
What?
And it just brought back memories. Go, oh, that's why the scream. Okay, got it. That's why the scream.
Oh, jeez. Well, the thing that I noticed, creeper, is I noticed this part over here. If I could zoom in on this symbol over here, this ties it all together to me. Oh yeah, I forgot. I actually took an image zooming in. I didn't have to zoom in. So this symbol here. What is this? We recognize this symbol, of course, as everyone knows, as the Celtic symbol of the snake. Very important to the legend of the Irish. Okay. Wait, we go back. That was a little. I jumped the gun a little bit. So the legend of St. Patrick driving the snakes out of Ireland is a fanciful tale that's used to symbolize the eradication of pagan ideology. So it's famous, right? Where St. Patrick drove the snakes out of Ireland.
Do you know what he said when he was doing it?
This is the image I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what St. Patrick said when he was driving the snakes out of Ireland?
What did he say?
He's all right in the back there, lads.
You've been hanging out with Steve too much. I have to get you away. I have to get you away from Steven. But that was the key element. I think that Zarinia has ties in to the Celtic legend, to the legend of the leprechaun. I think, and I said it on a previous stream, the leprechaun, we already knew he was an alien from space, but now we know that he, in fact, is from a specific planet, the same planet that Zarinia is from. He is from the planet Dominia, a planet made of gold.
Aha.
And that is my crazy theory.
How
This
does
is
it
an
stay
artist
up in
rendering
the-
way.
How does
This has no bearing with the actual planet. I don't want to be sued.
I'm just gonna think of the dunk. Just fall through space. It can't maintain orbit anywhere because of its atomic weight.
That's right.
There you go, folks.
It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's a theory. Chrissy Chris. Chrissy Chris.
Chris's Crazy Theory.
I have to try to match the picture.
Theories in space.
If I could get Michael on board, I've had a successful day.
The golden years. Leprechaun Paradise. Pass me out. Yep. So maybe that's what it is. He's trying to, like a vampire has to have pieces of its the earth from its homeland.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
especially if he was sent away from this planet, eons ago. Because he kind of he alluded to that, and I think the first Leprechaun, where he said that his greed got him damned for all eternity. So if he was expelled from this planet, it would make sense why he's trying to so desperately to get back in, and the only way to get back in is if he's part of the the royal family. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking the plot of this movie just a bit.
Not at all. But that's the whole thing. That's a whole plot that would be the entire movie on its own.
Yeah.
But we don't just have that. We have the school. I don't think they were Marines, but they're the mercenaries on contract as a security mission. We meet Dr. Mittenhand, who is running the ship, and it's some sort of research ship, sort of loosely tied to the mining company, but don't quite get the full connection why he's there. I know he's doing his own thing, but
yeah, if he was surprised about Dominia being there, right? Because he didn't tell them about, save the princess or anything like that. So if he was surprised, why was he there on the ship? If it was just a mining expedition or trying to destroy something that's preventing the mining from going on.
He was a representative of the company, but the thing is, or he said he was authorized or he could do this and blah blah blah. But once again, that's another whole, that side plot is an entire movie on its own. And I can kind of see where the movie trips itself up a bit. Like if this is trying to be an actual serious movie, you could very easily run into problems. But I'm just thinking this is Spaceballs with a horror sort of bent to it. You know what I mean? Dr. Mittenheimer's Dark Helmet. That's
And I liked him. I think he was one of the better parts of the movie.
I wanted to see him in sequels, but say the V. Like, there's a whole do you know like Skeletor meets Hordak or Galvatron meets Scorponok type team up, but they're always like want to be the ultimate commander, but circumstances make them do it.
Yeah. Michael brings up a subsection maybe to my theory about a spaceship. I kind of like this idea.
Yeah, why not?
I'm gonna hire Michael to as an assistant on my next theory. I'm gonna have a whole team pretty soon. I like that idea.
I don't think it's so much time travel. They've already said they're eternal. He even says in this movie he's eternal, ancient. You know what I mean? He's thousands of years old.
Yeah.
And we even got that in Leprechaun 2 as well. You know what I mean? Just they're ancient beings, so it's just they've lived that long throughout history and right into the future, so it would make sense. And if they can't actually be killed, that it doesn't matter what you do. The only thing you can do is trap a leprechaun, which is all in part 3. So, it's all to pay for. I like the fact that they're not sticking to just, it's a Shamrock and Shillelagh running about and, all the Celtic myths and stuff. They're not just sticking, they're just expanding out and going, do you know what? This is a fun character. We've got a loose premise. Let's just go with it and put it in different places. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
It's still better than a lot of, 90% of the stuff has come out in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I'm saying there's stuff coming out now, and even horror comedy, like a load of horror comedies I've watched over the last 5 years, and especially starting this, and they're not funny. There's no sense of fun about them. They're dead. They're flat.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I feel like I laughed during it, and that's the whole point, and you've said it very well on other streams. I think when you go in and that the director is trying to make it fun for you, when it has that approach, then you're more lenient with some of the plot holes, with some of the bad acting and things like that. Again, I think I would have enjoyed it more.
Or are there really hammy characters?
I think it was over the top. I think
there's a difference between we have seen the worst thing ever to be put on the screen, and we'll not mention it, but we have seen bad acting where every minute is 7 years in the real world, in that abomination of a show.
I was going to say, I think you have to tell the audience, because we have reviewed Sharknado. We have reviewed
that wasn't even as that wasn't as
I feel like you.
Yes, we have scraped the bottom of the barrel, so we have seen bad acting, just awful, shouldn't be anywhere near a movie screen in any shape or form. This I think they all knew the assignment.
100%. And you can
I think everybody on board knew the assignment. The bloke playing Mittenhead was bloody brilliant.
Yes. Yeah, he was fun. He was fun. And speaking of special effects, that looked pretty cool with the bolts of the skin hanging over the machinery part of him.
Yeah,
I actually thought that looked pretty good.
it's basically a Dalek
Yeah.
ripoff. He's basically a Davros ripoff, and like I said, just and we bit of RoboCop thrown in there too. You could just tell this is an homage to like sci-fi and sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
Like, and they're just having fun with it. And yeah, that was so well done. And even the cutscenes, like there's some really good cutscenes in this, like when Mittenhead's talking, and then the cut to the back of his head and stuff. The camera work is really good.
Yeah. Like I said, I just felt they needed a little bit more fun parts. Like the boner scene was hilarious. They needed a few more fun parts like that. Like instead of the scene where you're knocking her off the bridge, that could have been a funny death, in a way. Like just a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt it needed a little bit more. I think I would have enjoyed this movie more had I not seen Leprechaun 3. Leprechaun 3 is actually really well done, and I feel like that set the bar a little too high.
Yeah,
for me.
when you hit the pinnacle, that's like we said, that was lightning in a bottle. You're never getting that again.
Yeah,
and anything after it is always going to be a disappointment.
It's fair.
So, yeah, I totally get it, 100%. And there's a lot going on, like the couple of plot points, but then again, I have to think to myself, what are they trying to do here? This isn't a saga; it's a goofy comedy, and they're just throwing random stuff in, for shits and giggles, to give a couple of fun characters, maybe a few too many. If maybe most of the squad of Marines had got wiped out during the shootout, the fact that Leprechaun has a blaster
and a lightsaber.
Those things. Do you know what I mean? The fact that he has that, and he went into a full shootout with a squad of soldiers. It's you can enjoy one. Enjoying one doesn't preclude the other, and I love some really dark, serious, like emotional horror movies. One of my favorites has to be Antlers. Just that is grim. Martyrs is proper. The French version, I haven't seen the American remake. You look at that is disturbing. Speak No Evil, the original Dutch one, is disturbing. That is dark, edgy or seat going, oh my god. But then again, I also like stuff like this, which is just silly.
Yeah.
But it's all down to the intent. I hate this thing with, and I see it a lot with horror fandom. I suppose it's any sort of niche. Like, look at heavy metal as well. All gets split down to subgenres, and then the subgenres fight with each other. This is the best. This is the best. Or if you watch this, you can't watch that. And I'm like, just judge each movie on its merits. And if you enjoy yourself, you enjoy yourself. That's the big thing. You'll know yourself. If you're having fun, then and enjoying the experience of watching a movie and getting something from it, the movie's won. Doesn't matter the budget, the actors, the director, the special effect. Nothing matters apart from what you get as a viewer. And that's subjective. That changes from person to person. We're not going to agree on stuff. We haven't.
Yeah.
It's... And God, when you get all of us together, it's like, what? You don't like that? You do like that? We all look at each other. And that's just the five of us.
Yeah. Well, that's what I like about this channel is that you cover all the different, subsections of horror equally. You don't necessarily favor, the dark stuff or favor the goofy comedy stuff. Like everything gets its fair shake, and you have people on that really appreciate that, that genre of horror. Mm-hmm. So it adds a fun diversity to the channel. So I really like.
Thanks, mate. But that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to celebrate the genre as a whole. And one thing I've tried to do with this channel is show that, you don't have to think of it as just one thing. You can jump in and you can find different movies. Also, movies can have different intensities as well. So you get like I'm using Martyrs, for example, as an extreme example of dark. You're watching cruelty happen. It's proper. You're getting upset watching that movie.
Yeah.
But it's a worthwhile experience. But you don't have to. You can't watch 20 of those in a row. Your head will be away. It's you need to switch it up, and also you couldn't watch just purely the comedy ones because eventually your brain would turn to mush. You need something to
That's
sort
what's
of
happening.
jolt the old synapses again.
I'm the perfect example of that happening.
We'll need to get you into something like really dark, but might traumatize you. Oh no, broken another presenter. Damn it. But yeah, I'm just saying it that you've got these over the top, goofy characters, and they're there for one purpose, and that's just to provide a giggle. The big issue is there's just too many of them, and I think the shootout could have solved a lot of the problems if most of that squad got wiped out.
Yeah.
Even dare say it, including the Sarge. But his scene later on was epic, so maybe not. But do you know what I mean? 2 or 3 of them survived. What purpose does what's her face? Tina, the doctor.
Yeah.
Does she
Not.
what do you call him? Trick?
Girl boss? Oh.
Fella got caught in the spider web. The trick or stick, sorry.
Oh, Sticks. Yeah.
What did Sticks,
yeah.
sir? You know what I mean? He could have been one that got wiped out too. There could have been just this whole shootout and half the squad got annihilated. And then the reveal when Mittenhead meets the Leprechaun and goes, "It was you did all that," would have made more sense.
Yeah.
And then the protracted scene through the ship.
Yeah.
Condensed
I
a
mean,
bit.
we do like seeing the Leprechaun, have all these, funny kills and different, individual, murders of these people from the past movies. But again, I felt like in this movie they weren't that that fun. Like, okay, the box dropping on the guy. Okay, that was okay.
Yeah.
That was okay. Yeah. And the biohazard suit where the guy instantly turns into a skeleton.
That had to be the most right. That was meant to be for organic waste.
Yeah.
And they're searching through that thing. They go through the airlock and they're searching through it like it's corridors on itself. Well, how does that work? How did somebody have to go in there and scrape it out every day? Does everything just fall into I was expecting a trash compactor.
Yeah.
Not reams of corridors that you're going through and pouring stuff on yourself and all. It was a bit, what are you doing here? Just for one gag?
Yeah. The layout of the ship, could use a good looking over by an architect. That's for sure.
That's what I mean. They've just nicked a factory, a disused factory, and they're just sticking it up a bit. It's
yeah.
And it makes sense with the budget. They haven't went and built a set.
Yeah.
But what ship has its own nightclub? Like full on nightclub? It's not even like it's it's not even like it's a wardrobe or anything. It's a fucking full on nightclub, which looks as if it could house about 200 people.
Yeah. It had a bar, it had a dance area. Yeah. That was hilarious.
Just for a bunch of hard hands on what type of ship is this? I have a feeling this should be a cruise ship. If it had to be like a full-on cruise ship going through the stars, it would have made more sense.
Yeah. Hey, space, you're out there a while. What else are you gonna do?
I always equate it to like a submarine. Like you're going to use every space. People sleep on top of the missiles and stuff in submarines because they're just using every inch of space.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, from Leprechaun 2. Yeah, that was a cracking scene.
Well, that's a
Be
great
that your
example
wish.
Yeah, but Michael, that's a great example. I feel like the deaths in some of the previous movies were just a little bit more fun than they were in this one, and also the fact that he's not rhyming. Like I just felt like a little less care was put into this one than the previous ones. You know?
Yeah, the rhyming dialogue is, yeah, I can see that. Honestly, I'm not saying this is a perfect movie or anything. I just
Yeah.
don't understand the absolute hate it gets. I suppose that's my confusion.
I got you. Yeah, yeah.
Like people absolutely, it's one of the worst rated. It's like 33% in Rotten Tomatoes and stuff. It's like panned, and I don't care about critics anyway. They're arseholes, but whether they think a good movie's good or bad, I don't trust them. But audiences have like proper got tore into this movie. It's been like Jason X, you know, it's that sort of debate.
Yeah. It's a great point with critics. I feel like critics, when it comes to comedy of all types, horror comedy and just comedy in general, are the least reflective of at least how I feel. Like if I see a critic rated a comedy really high, I know going in, I'm not going to laugh at that thing. And then if I go into a movie like Spaceballs, for example, since you brought it up, I'm sure that didn't get great reviews from the critics, but that's hilarious to me, that movie. So yeah, I think that's a good point. I feel like this is the type of movie that's not going to do well with the critics or any comedy. But that doesn't mean anything because critics don't get comedy, in my opinion.
No, it's too pretentious. That's the problem. They're trying to be, oh, you know, look at me, nose up in the air, and yeah, that's why there's such a disparity. You look at the sites and critic score, audience score, worlds apart. You know, it's a little bubble that's not in touch with reality, and that's
right.
You know, that's why we exist. You know, what I mean, we're just ordinary people talking about movies, not trying to be anything. Just this is what we're doing. We're hanging out. We're having a laugh, and you folks to join us as well. It's more welcome. You know, it's what it's all about. And engagement in the chat. You know, Michael joining in there and stuff. You know, it's fantastic. That's what this channel is all about. Just we're all a bunch of people just hanging out, talking about random movies and not just chasing all the current stuff. It's like we're going back and forward and vice versa. You know, it's just like you do anyway. You know, if we're all in a bar together and chatting about movies, that's what we do. But start talking about this one, talk about a random one that makes us think of it.
Yeah, for sure. And this is a movie I never would have seen otherwise, so it's fun to go down this rabbit hole with the Leprechaun.
Yeah, but Kowalski, I think that was the best scene because when they tossed the holy hand grenade and destroyed the Leprechaun in the cave, Kowalski decides he's going to like add the final insult and that's all over him. Here, get some, and then Leprechaun straight up the pee hole, and you just knew it was coming when you saw the tinkly stuff going whoop. You're like, that's not going to end well.
No. That had to be one of the best deaths in the whole series so far, though.
Yeah, just
Kowalski later on.
It was telegraphed, you know, when him dropping trouser and just letting rip on the Leprechaun, you knew there was going to be revenge because you saw the Leprechaun wink. You know, death means nothing to him, and I love the way they've gone past that with us. Like it's not, it's not a shock that the Leprechaun regenerates. They've got past that. They're just like, it is what it is.
Right.
They've all the same director. I would need to go through all the IMDb pages and actually, you know what? Let's do that.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'll just talk about the regenerative nature of the Leprechaun, and this goes to my theory that it is a different Leprechaun in each of these movies because the first Leprechaun, he dies at the end of the movie because they put an explosive device in the well, and he's got the 4-leaf clover on him. Now I feel like if that happened to this Leprechaun, he would just regenerate a day later. So I definitely feel like these are different Leprechauns. They have different powers. And not that it really matters, but I feel like that adds a fun element. And it's easy for the writers because then the writers can go into each movie without the limitations of the previous ones. And they could just kind of make up their own thing. So that has to be
And-
freeing for the writers.
I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Yeah,
Because then you're not having to worry about continuity and like canon of
right.
a comedy movie that people aren't going to, get stuck in. Oh, if this happened in part 2, so that would be impossible for blah blah. You don't get that with this.
Yeah, yeah. It's not that type of series. Yeah. But that is interesting. The writing does seem like it's different. It's not consistent, which tells me that I'm guessing it is going to be a different writer for each one. But yeah, again, it doesn't. It's not one of those franchises that you have to worry about, the continuity issues.
It's not Leprechaun 7.
I'm surprised that they did switch up the director after the third one, because the third one was very successful in the box office. Originally, it was just going to be the 3 movies, and then the third one was so successful that they decided to just greenlight a 4th movie right away.
Yeah, and it makes sense because, but this one seemed to went straight to home video, right? Mark Jones wrote the first one. Mark Jones, Turi Meyer, and Alfredo Sepching, is that, wrote the second one. Mark Jones, David Dubos was involved with the third one. Mark Jones and Danisay Pratt. And these are all, up to this point, Brian Trenchard's. No, Mark Jones directed the first one. Robin Flender the second one, but Brian Trenchard Smith's done 3, 4. Different director for Leprechaun in the Hood. Mark Jones again, different writers. Leprechaun 6. Mark Jones again. So Mark Jones has been the writer throughout this. Here's an annoying thing. They keep trying to tag in Leprechaun Origins into the Leprechaun series, and that's a completely different movie, and it's also completely shit.
Okay. Are we doing that one or no?
I'd rather not. It's not part of the series, but they keep trying to.
Okay.
They keep trying to. It's one of them ones. It's like a parasite that jumps onto this. If that makes sense, it's annoying.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was the case. And I watched the movie and hated it and hated life.
I'm actually very surprised that there's been one consistent voice throughout the 4 movies, because they're very different. Both they all have the same premise of trying to make it fun and goofy, but very, very different approach. Like I said, with some of the dialogue of the Leprechauns, his motivations.
It was consistent between the first 3 movies.
Yeah.
The character and the sort of patter was for the first 3. This is where the dialogue, I think that's what you're having the problem with, isn't it? The dialogue.
Yeah, the dialogue and just the tone of how he reacts to different situations. He's not having the Leprechaun's not having as much fun. It, like you said, it's more of a slasher. And I just get the feeling like the Leprechaun is just almost a different character, which I do think it is a different Leprechaun, but still, the first 3 were more consistent in his tone, his dialogue, and this one it seems to be different. So I'm surprised it's the same writer. So
yeah, but there's multiple writers for most of them, so it's Mark Jones and a few other, different writers with it, so it's like a writing team. But Mark Jones is stayed with that the entire series, so yeah, it might be his creation. It might be just the brains behind it.
Yeah.
I honestly think it was just him trying to mix things up. And I'm surprised Brian Trenchard wrote this one. If I had been a different director, I would get it. Maybe because we've had the same consistent storyline, more or less. It's not to discover the leprechaun, to discover the leprechaun's goal, to take a coin or a piece of it. Leprechaun comes after them. That's been done 3 times now. So with this movie, I think they tried to go and do something different. And that might be the whole, what are you doing? Do you think the
I
princess?
do
Do you
like
think
the
the
different.
princess in it is the
Yeah,
like if they had have went in a seek and destroy mission and just happened to have come across the leprechaun, mind his own business, and got into a shootout and then took his gold? Would that have maybe made more sense?
I actually like the princess. I like the idea that
I'm just trying
almost
to.
like a bride.
There's something
Yeah,
bugging you, and I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it. There's something when you've watched this
yeah,
movie, you've went, "Oh, that's not the same as the rest."
yeah.
So
I think it's the leprechaun himself, the dialogue, the
the
lack of
dialogue,
rhyming, that he's not seeming to have as much fun. He's not the kills are less creative
hmm,
and silly as they were. So that I think that's probably my take on it. No, I like the princess. It almost reminded me of like a Bride of Chucky situation.
yeah,
Like I like the idea of the bride of the leprechaun. I hope in future ones that he has a romantic partner because I think that added to a lot of the fun. I think when they're talking about each other and he's calling her a bitch under his breath
yeah, they're both
and
doing it.
she's
You
like,
know, it's like they've been married for 20 years and just me, and
yeah,
has become their whole thing.
yeah. I think that's one of my favorite parts. So I'm glad she was in it.
It's a completely different movie, Michael. Leprechaun Origins is nothing to do with this franchise. It's a completely even the leprechauns are they're more like Sasquatches or
Oh
werewolves.
wow.
Like they're
Okay.
completely. It's a case of sneaky advertising, jumping onto a beloved
Okay.
franchise, but it's not even a comedy. It's meant to be serious. It's uh yeah, it's
And
just it's a bad movie.
Warwick Davis is Warwick Davis in that or no?
No, no,
Oh, okay. Okay. To me, it's not. That's not official Leprechaun canon then.
no, that's
If
what I
it's
mean. But
not Warwick Davis, yeah.
they've like a parasite they've latched onto the franchise. So when people search, the movie keeps popping up, and then people accidentally watching it, thinking it's part of the series.
Yeah. Okay.
You
Gotcha.
know, it's
Gotcha.
very underhanded, and they haven't done anything to correct it. You know, and the
Yeah.
studio doesn't care because it just gets watches. Whether they've already spent the money on it, so they don't care. Don't even know
Right.
if it's the same studio. Yeah, it's not a good one. No, it wasn't the same.
Gotcha.
WWE or WWF movies, and these are all made by Lionsgate, so even that's a completely different uh, like entity.
Oh, okay.
um, yeah, the princess was a fun character, and like even from the intro when we first meet her, and the fact she changes and plotting against her father. Yeah, it is a Halloween 3 of the Leprechaun, but except it's not even made by the same people. It's just an external, yeah, just a bunch of arseholes just being sneaky. Yeah, we'll find out that the doctor and we've got Harold as well, who's basically the Smithers, to the Doctor Mittenhead.
Yeah.
He's a creepy dude.
He was very creepy. Also, not a very good assistant. He just let that spider just get out of the tube.
Yeah, because
Did you notice that?
yeah, just there and yeah, just lets it go. You're like, okay. A funny thing that was a
Sexually
wee bit of
assaulted.
foreshadowing,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Sexually assaulting the princess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the best. Not the best dude that you want on your team.
No, that's
But that was a fun death. His was a fun death where the pancake face.
yeah. It's just,
That's what I needed. That's what I was hoping. I was hoping for more of that. That was great. Yeah.
I think there were too many elements. I think that's the main problem. There's too much stuff going on that they're trying to tie together, and I think they're trying to go off the reservation. They're trying to go in a new direction that maybe went a bit too far.
Yeah.
But once again, if you watch this movie in its own right, no, I mean, if you watch this as a standalone movie and not seen any of the others, I think you'd have a completely different experience.
Yeah.
Most
think
people
that's
that had this movie are Leprechaun fans.
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
like what you said. And I was the same. I'll not lie, I was the same. Going, what the hell is this? But like I said, I've watched this multiple times over years, so I think I've softened towards it. It's one of
Yeah.
those like actually, it's not that bad. It's actually quite fun. Uh, a movie, in its own right, it's still an enjoyable romp if you just
Yeah.
switch your brain off and don't take it seriously.
I think
Understand what they're trying to do.
I think I've said this on the channel, but the more movies I watch, the more I realize what a big factor expectations are. The weight of expectations has such an impact on your enjoyment of the movie. And I think you're right. I think sometimes it softens over time. I did a review with Adam on another channel for an animated movie that is the only movie to come out on a particular setting that I enjoy. And Michael was in the chat too, and we were watching that. And I hated that movie the first time.
I've probably already.
Oh, okay.
Go see,
So
it's not a secret. Right. Adam and I are friends,
What?
Yeah. Shock horror. I know.
I'll alert the Tower Elders. So yeah, the name of the channel, DL Saga, and the setting.
Oh, you mean the channel where we met?
There was a movie. The channel
how we ended up here.
So there was.
That's such a secret.
Yeah, I don't know why I was trying to. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, the 2009, I think it was, this animated movie came out. It was fans like myself were so excited.
The Dragonlance animated one?
The Dragonlance movie. Yeah. And the first time I saw it, it was terrible and I hated it. And I was like, oh my God, I waited so long for this. And every time I've watched it, I've enjoyed it a little bit more. So I get what you're saying with this.
That feels like an instruction manual. I think it feels more like an instructional manual for people that don't understand Dragonlance.
Yeah.
That's the impression I got from it. They're trying to introduce the different aspects as if you're going to jump into the game. It's almost like an ad for the game as opposed to a movie.
Yeah, that's true. But it's just one of those things where, right, if you go in expecting it to be a certain way, then you're going to be disappointed. But then on subsequent viewings, you could start to appreciate, the things that your mind wasn't in the right frame to enjoy at the time.
It's like the original Dungeons and Dragons movie with Jeremy Irons.
Yeah.
Ooh, like that's one that has a lot of forgiveness over the years. It's not good. And then that sequel, which is just like, oh my God, what he's doing. But you can sort of chuckle and titter and tee. Like there's loads of movies like that. Jason X is another one. The whole In Space or Hellraiser Bloodlines, that one got panned because of In Space. But when you watch the game, you're like, actually, it makes sense. They did a good job.
Yeah.
It's just that, like I said, the weight of expectations when you're expecting something from a movie or you're expecting to get the same again or the same hit. And that's a problem with something peaks. Like Leprechaun 3 was definitely a peak in this. And it just, things came together. You can't manufacture that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can't. You can try to make a good movie. You can try to write a good story. You can try a lot of things, but sometimes it's just the universe decides whether things come together or they don't. And that's out of your control.
You just brought up a good point. My first original good point that I've had in 10 years. So I'm very excited about this. But it's also tough for a franchise like this when you captured great chemistry in a particular movie, like in Leprechaun 3.
Mm-hmm.
You can't repeat that in the next movie because the characters, most of them have died. And that in a horror franchise, it has to be a different cast every movie because of all the deaths that have taken place. So it's almost you have to shuffle the deck, shuffle the cards. It has to be a different approach every time because different cast every time.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it even harder for a franchise in a horror genre to repeat any success that it's had when it's completely new cast every time with one or two exceptions.
One or two links, that might be it. But
the
Final Destination series we covered, there always seemed to be a crossover character, one or two, but it was always a different group. And you can have the
It
same
has to be.
director, the same writer, the same crew, but then you've got all these people who aren't part, and that might feel worse. Imagine coming in as a cast member, and everyone else has done these movies for years. You know what I mean? Because was it 12 months
Yeah.
to make a movie? If you think about it, these people have worked together, lived together, bled together, for years, and they all know each other. They barely have to speak. They've been
Yeah.
working together that long, and then you come in as an outside element, and you're like, oh god, right? Yeah, you're never going to get that.
Yeah.
But that's that's why. Like I said, I just don't understand the utter hatred for this because it's undeserved. Especially when you look at movies today, like they were trying to entertain you.
I agree. I'm more in the middle. I didn't love it, but I certainly didn't hate it.
I think it's coming out this year. I think it's coming out later on this year.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
already. If not already, it's going into post-production. So they've been on set. They've shot it. They've used. They'd already shot Tony Todd's scene before he sadly passed. So they're
Yeah.
going to still be able to use that. Yeah, so that's all underway. It might be a summer because they're usually summer movies. It might be coming out this summer. I haven't heard anything else more. Of course, the reason the horrific news segment has been slowing down because there's absolutely bugger all happening. It's really, I'm trolling, like mad, looking for articles, and there's nothing but crap.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh well. So the daily articles
think
have had
it'll-
to take a back seat.
I think it'll start to pick back up again. I think the writer strike really impacted and set everything back. So the only thing that you had coming out were things that were already in post-production at the time the strike took place. And now we're in the middle of that long gap.
Yeah, it's just that
during
whole
the-
the aftermath.
Yeah, the aftermath. But now I think it'll start picking up again. Yeah.
It doesn't help as well that well, I don't know if it's a bad or a good thing because I've read some shitty articles, but a lot of the websites are closing down because they're just not generating the revenue. People are sick of the journalists because all they're doing is spewing opinion pieces, and injecting their own nonsense, and they're
Gotcha.
not just reporting what's happening. And people are sick of that.
Gotcha.
And, God, some of the ones I've read it. More importantly, the ones that don't read out. I just start and then I just stop the recording and go, no, I'm not doing that. That's shit. Not especially there's some of the really proper clickbaity ones. I'm just like, nah, I'm not even going to make a video saying it's clickbait. That's makes me as guilty. I'll do the odd one or two, but yeah, nah. Sometimes I'm just hitting record. I start reading it and going, the hell is this? Yeah, and then I just stop.
Yeah.
Just not even worth doing. But yeah, well, just everything escalates in this. I think that opening scene, wipe out half the squad, have the leprechaun take them all out, and a couple of survivors got away with the princess.
I think that would have been better.
I would have actually tightened things up. Like, we didn't need Lucky. Danny wasn't really a good character. Yeah, it was a cool seeing him dropping the container on him, but still, meh.
Yeah.
Styx doesn't do anything. Tina, what was she really there for?
Yeah.
I mean, the Sarge, God, I forget his name. Brooks. And the Brooks? Yeah, Brooks.
Book.
The Sarge, Brooks, the Princess, Mittenheimer, and Harold.
That's
For
all
the
you
extra
needed.
scene.
Yeah.
The
And
rest could have got wiped out.
I get that you need other victims because the deaths are some of the funniest parts of the Leprechaun, but they spent too much time on them, and it took away from just more scenes with the Leprechaun,
Yeah.
which would have been enjoyable.
And
Yeah.
So they changed it up, but they forgot I think they threw the baby out with the bathwater, possibly. Like
Yeah.
it's a standalone movie.
Yeah.
Oh, Thanks very much, buddy. I'd actually done one of those the first year of the podcast and never done them again. I thought I'd restart it. Just silly wee videos, having a bit of fun, and bringing it back.
Well, Michael, I wanted to say thank you because I worked very hard on that. I'm just kidding. No, that was all Colin. Colin, that was awesome. I enjoyed that myself. That was a lot of fun with that.
Glad.
And I never realized like how many there are 7 Final Destinations. There are or 6 Final Destinations. There are 7 this, 7 that, like 8 of that. Like it worked out. It worked out nice, and I like the ones that you chose.
But I tried to choose different ones. Like the first year I did it, they were all different, and that's and of course as more add on, you can shuffle the numbers around and stuff.
Yeah.
Just try to get that tenuous link that if you understand what I'm talking about or what the day was, just have a bit of fun.
That was great. Yeah, I looked forward to those each day. A new one came out. That was cool.
Okay, we're always trying new stuff here, and then we've got our regular stuff. It's always about progressing and moving forward, and I think that's the frustrating thing. That's what these guys are trying to do. They're trying not to get comfortable.
Yes.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I mean, you got to give them credit. They did not just replicate the same movie again, which is what we see a lot with a lot of sequels and reboots, where it's the same story beats. They just try to copy whatever was done before. They took a huge chance with this movie. It's very out there compared to the previous 3. So, successful in some areas, not so much for me in other areas, but you definitely have to, give them credit for the approach, the attempt, to mix it up.
And it seemed to have got fun towards the end, where they had to zap him with the growth ray and stuff, and the turn like Mittenhead appears, and he's done the whole RoboCop thing. So basically, it's his head and his brain and his lungs are in a jar and his heart's in a jar. I know that the sort of cross between RoboCop and a Dalek, that sort of thing, and just had fun with it. And then he's like, "Nah, I'm not going to kill you. I have more fun to have." He squirt,
Yeah.
The scene with the
Mitten
that was
Spider.
great. Yeah.
He turns from Mitten Hand to Mitten Spider. And I love when the leprechaun gets grown, the Honey I Shrunk the Kid, right?
Yeah.
And he turns into giant, and then the first thing he does is look into his pants, and he's like, "Yeah!" He gets so excited. Because let's be fair, that's what we'd all do.
Yeah. It's just just kept the original dialogue. Spent a wee bit of time doing it, and
yeah,
it would have. But I just think they were just trying to really let's do something completely different. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I think we kind of go back to the old form again, when we get the next one. Go back to like present day Earth, and
that's a good question. Michael was asking if we think that Warwick is done with the character.
Didn't we ask that? He's only 50 odds. He's only like 55. He could possibly do it.
It's certainly a lot of strain. I think it's like 3 to 4 hours a day with the makeup. It's a very physical role for him. I could see him maybe being able to do one more. I think if he did one, it would probably have to be the last one. It's not an easy role for an actor.
No, that's even this one. Like I said, he's not just wearing the prosthetics. He's got a freaking hazmat suit on top of it. You know what I mean? You'd be alive in that thing.
I think it would have to have a decent budget where he wouldn't have to be on set for like 4 months. You know what I mean? Like they'd have to have it where they could have an extra. They could have, I know you hate CGI, but for things where he's not needed to physically do, certain actions, like they have to find a way to make it easier for him. And I think he would. I think I've heard him in videos and commentaries that he does have a fondness for this character.
Yeah. Once again, we've had this conversation. I'm not against CGI. I just hate when they use CGI in lieu of practical effects. And everything's done in front of a green screen, and it's so obvious. It's horrible. It's flat. It's dead. You can see the dead eyes of the actors. Just there's nothing fun about it. It's using the combination of the two, and that's why movies are going back to practical effects. There's what Demi Moore got her Golden Globe for The Substance, and The Bastards wouldn't even call it a horror movie. They called it a musical comedy.
Oh, geez.
That's, horror has kept the cinema doors open, has kept the cinema going over the last year, at least, and always come to the rescue, and the arseholes still turn their nose up at it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what the hell's your problem?
I predict, and I want it on the record on this channel because this channel will live forever. I predict that in the next 5 years, that horror will have its own category at the Oscars. I think it's becoming more. Well,
no, but honestly, who cares about the Oscars anymore? They're dead. Nobody cares. Nobody's watching.
Right.
It's just an industry. It's just a generic industry award now. Same as the Golden Globes. It just caught my attention because that was an article I was going to cover. But I'm like, do you know what? Don't care. Nobody cares about these things.
No, not so much that it's relevant for the Oscars, but it's just relevant for the idea that horror is becoming more accepted. I think people are starting to realize, and this is good and bad, because then you have a lot of normies, as you say, influencing horror and wanting to make it PC and affecting it in a negative way. But I do feel like it's becoming more mainstream as far as people are recognizing its worth in terms of the box office, in terms of, some of the best movies have been in the horror genre. And I feel like it's only a matter of time before that seeps into the awards and things like that. Not that that's necessarily a good thing, but I do feel like the recognition of it is coming.
Just acknowledge it for what it is, but don't come in. I'm sick of tourists coming in. Oh, it's got to be the way I want it. And they don't, oh, I'm a fan. No, you're not. You see it in horror writing as well. They've got these tourists come in and like, oh, we've got to sanitize everything because hurdy words and triggering people. And you're like, no, that's the whole point of the horror genre. If you don't get triggered by a movie, then you're not really watching horror. That's why there's so many subgenres. That's why there's so many ways, because that's the whole point. It's trying to push your buttons and leave you with that sort of icky feeling at some point.
Yeah.
Just by, it's that emotional response, and you need that. You need that in your life.
Agree.
You can't go through life wrapped up in cotton wool and in a bubble, because when something real actually happens to you, you're going to fall to pieces. You really are. It's inoculating you to life. That's what art does. That's what storytelling does. Sorry to get a bit preachy and soapboxy, but that's it. And if you really can't cope, now there's things I don't like to see. Animal cruelty is one. I'll never enjoy that. But at the same time, I'm not going to say don't make it, as long as nothing happens in real life. Like that was one thing about Cannibal Holocaust, is they actually used footage, because they were able to do that in the 70s, of animals being killed. What was one of the mainstreams, the war one? Apocalypse Now. They did it as well with the ritual sacrifice of a bull or a goat or something. You know what I mean? There's old movies like the 70s before laws were brought in that did that because they get away with it.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Shit, never going to enjoy that in my life. But at the same time, I don't care anything being depicted as long as the special effects. That's the difference, because where do you end? Do you have to to get a shock horror, you have to actually murder people in a movie? Like, that's stupid.
Yeah. That would be a good use of CGI to avoid actual murder.
I don't like the torture porn stuff.
Yeah.
Saw, The Hostel, what's the other ones? Human Centipede was a bit silly, but it was just shock for shock's sake. That stuff doesn't do anything for me. Yet I like some proper dark, disturbing stuff. So we're all different.
Yeah, I'll take Leprechaun 4 in space any day over those.
Yeah. No, but there you go.
I do want to make sure we get to the most important part of the movie, though. Zarina's death sentence.
Yes, I'd happily get sentenced to death.
That was great.
I just love the fact that she went on to Baywatch after to tone it down. You'd get a wholesome image. But yeah, that was fantastic.
That was hilarious. And I like Styx had a great line. If that's a death sentence, what part of her anatomy is she going to kill me with?
Yeah. And the fact that even Tina's character, like, it's a funny thing about actresses, isn't it? That at that moment, Zarina had the spotlight. Nobody was looking at her, and she wasn't happy.
Yes.
And you can even tell the actress was a bit, nobody's looking at me.
Yeah. That was great.
Proper myth. It's just a natural jealousy thing, isn't it? Especially in that sort of industry.
Yeah. That's a great point. I did notice that.
I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it was still funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's it. Then we'll have the whole Sarge scene, because basically Leprechaun takes him over, straps bombs to him, and basically he mind controls him.
Yeah, we've never seen that power before, but it was very funny. That was comic gold right there. Just the fight scene where like they're trying not to hurt him, but as he's dancing, he's also punching them, and he's like really strong, the Sarge. So
yeah,
that whole scene, trying to and then he's in drag, he's dancing. It's that was really funny.
Yeah, and he can really operate those heels. Fair play to him. I'd be up my arse. I would be both over. He's doing proper moves about stuff, and even with the Lee Enfield, being a stab and stuff and all. Just like, okay, you win everything. Just a bit of a shame that they made him out to be an android. I was like, nah.
Yeah, that was.
I know he had a metal place. Making him an android was a bit unfair.
Yeah, that was a weird story beat. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was all like I said, it was a fun romp for the most part. Yeah, there's bits I'm not happy, but I guarantee you watch it again, you'll soften.
I did want to just quickly get your take on the the ending. So they're the three of them. So Tina, Brooks, and Styx.
Mm-hmm.
They're all there celebrating, and they're watching the leprechaun parts floating in space, and they're laughing at it. And then the leprechaun's detached hand, severed hand, gives them the finger.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, right back at you, bud." And they start laughing or whatever. And I was like, that would terrify me. This creature who's already regenerated from death multiple times is obviously sentient enough to give the middle finger. Like I'd be like freaking out, like this thing is coming back. So I thought that was like a weird response by them at the end, a weird ending.
Yeah, but I think they were really trying to go full comedy with this. Maybe they were trying too hard, and they left out some of the horror stuff, like then cut the screen. I think they just need something. Like it's too many characters. They need something for Styx to do or Styx to say, and. Yeah, I just think it needed tied up, but I think dial it down, stop trying too hard. I think it was a case of trying too hard. That's went against this movie. So if they just
makes sense.
Yeah, if they just calm down a bit. Do you ever do that? You're trying to do something and you overthink it.
Every segment, every Chris's Crazy Theory segment.
Yeah. Do you know when you actually actively work against yourself because you're overthinking?
Yeah.
And then you just need to take out, right, I'm overthinking it, step back and come at it from a different angle. And then things just fall into place. I think it might have been a time thing, but they were so fixated going a different direction, they overthought it.
Yeah.
and they didn't have that moment to dial it back. But I think they do when we go to the next one, in the Hood.
Okay.
I think they
I'm
come
still
back to
on board.
basics.
I'm still enjoying them. I'm still having fun. So I am definitely enjoying this this franchise. So I'm in.
Absolutely. Like I said, it's still, look at the shit coming out now. This is still a fun movie. You know what I mean? If you'd never seen another one of the Leprechaun franchise and you watch this on its own, you'd just be like, yeah, I get it. You'd be all right. But it's the expectations, like you said, it's just the bar's being set high with Leprechaun 3. So you're like, the only way it can go is down.
Right. Exactly.
But there you go. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, apologies for the whole mix up at the start. Just technology went wibble in the background.
Yeah.
We had to get the hammer and nails out and fix things.
Definitely. Appreciate your patience, Michael. Awesome to see you in the chat, man. Thanks for all your contributions. It really adds to it.
Don't forget, folks, that see us are watching. I have a little counter thing. Use 11 people there. You know what I mean? Come and say hello. It's all good. We'll say back. And you can also message on all the platforms that we're broadcasting on. So at the moment we're on YouTube, Twitch, and Odyssey. So if you're on those, say hello. You know what I mean? Be part of the conversation. And that's the whole point of streaming ahead as well. So you know what movie it is, so you can have a wee watch, and then we can have a chat about it. You know what I mean? That's what we're here for. But yeah, we will be back. We are back to Resident Evil, or we might be doing one in between. We'll make that decision offline.
Okay.
What we're doing. But yeah, we'll be back again. So thanks again, Chris, for being here. It's always a pleasure, mate. And
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Just needing to say, until next time, keep up to date with the channel, do the technical things, and remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.